talk about empowerment. But what is it? Empowerment, according to the dictionary, is awareness and participation in relation to the dimensions of social life. Therefore, women's empowerment consists in positioning women in all social, political, and economic fields, resulting in gender equality. Gender equality advocates that men and women have the same rights and duties. In other words, both should be free to make their choices and develop their personal capabilities without the interference or limitation of stereotypes. We can say that gender equality is the basis of building a society free of prejudice and discrimination.
Difficulties of empowerment in society. Women's empowerment is against inequality and male chauvinism. They present in small everyday situations where even women participate as incentives for segregation between male tasks and female tasks. For example, in many families, these girls are responsible for starting the kitchen, washing dishes after dinner, while men will watch television and just rest. The struggle for gender equality intensified in the middle of the 20th century, driven mainly by the feminist movement. Feminism is an ideology that defends equality in all aspects, social, political, and economic, between men and women. Because of this movement, many rights have already been won in the name of gender equality, but there is still a long way to destruct the prejudice and stereotype viewed and embedded in society.
Until the last century, scientific knowledge was largely developed by men, who often ignored the role of women in society, using a scientific authority for hierarchies between the sexes. Only 30% of Google's total employees worldwide are women. In Brazil, according to the census 2010, the last EBG survey with this information, women represent only a quarter of the people who work with companies in Brazil.
A field that can be considered a great representative of the feminist struggle and the same intellectual capacity between the sexes hidden figures. The story is based on real facts and set in 1961. In the midst of the Cold War, when the United States and the Soviet Union dispute the supremacy in the space race at the same time that American society deals with a deep racial split between white and black. This situation is also reflected in NASA, where a group of black female employees is forced to work separately.
Katherine Johnson.
And physicist spatial scientist, she gave fundamental contributions for the USA Air Force and space programs.
Mary Jackson.
And mathematician and human computer, she became acting supervisor of the West Area Computers, the first African-American woman to supervise a staff at the center.
Dorothy Manu.
Mathematician and first black female engineer at NASA. Were great friends who had overcome the racial barrier and the gender barrier and were the brains behind one of the biggest operations in history, the orbiting launch of astronaut John Glenn, an achievement that changed the direction of the space race. This film shows that despite the exclusion and limitations imposed on women throughout history, the role of women in science was expressive and their scientific contributions were manifested in the most diverse areas of knowledge. However, out of 870 Nobel Prize winners, since their inception, only 48 are women.
In Brazil, we have distinguished names such as Johanna de Brenner, born in the Czech Republic and became Brazilian in 1956. The agronomists carry out fundamental research for Brazil to become a major soy producer, in addition to developing pro-alcohol. It is estimated that her research makes our country save $1.5 billion every year, which would be spent on fertilizer. Her study of oxygen fixation allowed more people to have access to cheap food and earned her a Nobel Prize in Chemistry in 1999.
Spanish mathematician who discovered solutions to equations that until today is used, is the author of the first algebra book written by a woman. She was also first invited to be a math teacher at university.
Pioneered studies on the theory of radioactive together with her husband, Pierre Curie, and discovered two new chemical elements, polonium and radio. Marie Curie was not only the first woman to be awarded a Nobel Prize, but also the first person to receive twice the prize, being Nobel Prize in Physics and Chemistry in 1993 and 1911 respectively. The couple's daughter, Irene Joliet Curie, continued her studies in the area and produced the first artificial radioactive isotope, thereby winning the Nobel Prize in Chemistry in 1935. received the 28th Nobel Prize for Medicine for the discovery of the human immunodeficiency virus, HIV, made in 1983. At that time, the Great AIDS epidemic was occurring, so knowing the infectious agent was extremely important to enable a breakthrough in the development of therapeutic methods for combating the disease.